Welcome back to another episode of Reality Check. We are thankful that you are back again with us. Thank you for all your feedback and for your engagement. We really, really appreciate it. Happy 2025. If you haven't heard it from Reality Check yet, we hope the year is off to a good start. We're back again with another hopefully interesting conversation. And joining me for that today is, of course, none other than Dr. Eva Satwine, who is not new to you. She is a therapist, a counselor, a life coach, parenting coach, and if you need support in any of those areas, she is your go-to person. And also on set with us is Pastor Mark Chigozi, who is also not very new. No, he's not. To a lot of you here in Kampala, I think, and around Uganda, most of you know Pastor Mark. I'll give him the opportunity to say something about himself. But also, if you've noticed, we are at a completely different location. This is Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center.
Wow.
A beautiful space for you to come and have your wellness needs met. So we are talking natural, healthy juices. We're talking counseling space. Dr. Evers has a space in here. If Ntinda is too far for you, you can meet her here in Kamocha, and some supplements as well, which she is going to be talking about very shortly. So make sure you plan to come visit Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center. We have been hosted and we're having amazing juice, taking care of our bodies, and hopefully we shall age well. That's the goal. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you
so much, Richard. Welcome, Pastor Mark.
Thank you for having me here. Pastor Mark is my name. I recently I did change and tweak the name Chigozi to my real name, which is Mukisa. Chigozi was my father's name.
Yes.
And my wife told me that names have meaning.
Meaning, they do.
And then sometimes they call up destinies and so on. And I asked myself, what does Chigozi mean? And I found out it was a Chigozi. When you say a Chibwa, a Chigoye, a Chikazi, it is a wasted thing. And that Chigozi is that thing that carries the baby on the back. Now, if that one is wasted, then you can carry no one.
Yes.
So I said to myself, I have another name that I've not used called Mukisa.
Which means blessing. Yes.
And so I did change the name. I did all the other things. Don't think I'm just changing it. I did the affidavit, I did the Gazette, and so on and so forth. And so now we are called the Mukisa.
Wow.
So whenever you call Mukisa, blessing, I take it.
Invoking blessings. I like that.
Absolutely. And my wife and I have been pastors all the way from Watoto, youth pastors.
Yes.
But we've also been counselors and very passionate about mental health. Very passionate about personal development. Very passionate about couples, very passionate about children, and these days also very passionate about health. When I started out, I was a young person. I started out maybe in my 20s, and now I am just 3 years shy of 60.
No way. You don't look like
I just caught myself and I said, I'm 3 years shy of 60, but I feel like I'm 20.
That's right. Nice.
And so when you talked about
aging
well and the body and so on, and I looked at the atmosphere and the products and supplementations, that's the way to go.
Thank you. I've heard Auntie Mo talk a lot about healthy living, and she makes you want to ditch all your chocolates and starch and just go organic. And we were talking about it earlier, talking about aging well and how we imagine that when we are 20 and 30, we're going to feel the same way when we are 60 without doing anything about it.
Yes.
And I think we actually need to be intentional now.
Yes.
To feel energetic at 60 and at 70.
Some people think that when they get into their 40s, that's when they will start
They start panicking.
In fact, I've met some of the young people I taught in kindergarten, those that were in the youth ministry, and I stand with them, and we are almost looking the same age.
Same.
It's
Wow.
true. And I said to them, what happened?
Yeah.
And lots of things. And it is not only what you put in your body, it is also what is in your soul and in your spirit. And so basically, my wife and I do what we call total, complete health, body, soul, and spirit.
Wow.
And that is what the 12 modules we do
Wow.
are basically about.
Nice, nice. So yeah, there you go, guys. There you go. So Dr. Evers, Suma Coffee House Wellness Center. Can you tell us briefly about that?
Yeah,
The products we're seeing in the
oh, they're
back.
here. That's right. Okay, thank you, Rachel. We are here at Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center. This is a branch of ICFC,
Yes.
Counseling Center. As you know, we have been having only one place in Tinda, which is a little far from
Most people.
most of our clients. And so we thought of a central place where people can easily access. So I'll be doing some of the days here and other days in Tinda, but mostly here, here at Kamocha, because it's much closer and central to most people. So come. But it's a wellness center, and it's a holistic wellness center, and I will speak about that. Number one, the products. I'm sure people are aware that 80% of the disease burden is what we call non-communicable diseases, which is lifestyle. So as we talk about lifestyle, that's how we eat, how we live, how we manage stress, which you are talking about, Pastor. But our bodies, I've been telling people, and a number of people, I hope we are aware that your body can age and leave you. It ages and leaves you. So you'll be 40, but your body is 70 years old because of body cell depletion.
True.
Which we never think about. And I was just, as I was sharing with you, Aria, Rachel, we were talking about how to cleanse and bathe our organs. Because the organs are, we are sustained by our organs.
True.
But do we even think about cleansing them? So I was sharing with her, Aria, about how we eat fatty things. For instance, you eat offals, you eat anything fatty. And if you use your hands, by the time you finish eating, the hands are, they are white. They are fatty.
Yeah.
You can't wait to wash them. So you run and wash. And you get soap, you get everything, you clean, you wash several times. But this fat, you have pushed it inside. Right? You have pushed it, you have enjoyed the fat, the meal, and it was all delicious. But what happens? Those fats are not just stuck to your hands, they are also stuck to your systems and organs. And if you eat that today, eat another week, and we never think about washing this. So one time I was asking people, so how do you think your organs cleanse or wash? And they said, I drink water. But I asked them, when you're washing this fat off your hands, do you just use water? No. You use soap and other things. But so I'm just making the point that some of these products help to detox.
Yeah.
You know, the toxins, the body takes in lots of toxins through diet, through exposure to chemicals, through environmental toxins. But we never think about washing our systems. So products like veggie, which helps to cleanse our systems. So this, I could say, has all the soap and all the detergents to clean the system. Because every time I ask people, did you bathe? Yes. What did you use? or soap, sponge and all. So you would actually liken it to that. It cleanses our systems and cleanses out the fats and all. And then we are healthy.
Yeah.
But what happens as we grow, the body grows and disease grows. And if we do not cleanse it, then we are likely to have a malfunction. So some of these products are wonderful. Of course, as a mental health practitioner, this is my best Cerebrain. Brain cell restoration and regeneration. I hope you are aware that now we have young people, 40, 50s, who are getting dementia.
It's happening.
Right? So much stress. I've been telling people, you're looking for a phone, you're talking on it. Some certain simple tailor danger signs. And we laugh about them. We say, oh, you know, I was talking on phone, I bathed twice, those are symptoms of, those are danger signs, those are red flags. And so this helps us to keep mentally sharp and with brain cell regeneration. Ladies who are struggling with hormonal imbalance, I've seen so many of us, I'm in your age range. So we say level 5 or is it level 5?
Level 5.
And then you're sweating, hot flashes, and all that. We need to balance the hormones.
True.
And I've been telling ladies, especially age 35 and above, we lose important hormones for stress regulation and all, but we never revive. So some of these are products that will help.
Beautiful.
Of course, men and prostate cancer.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to dig out statistics. This has been running on media recently about the rates of prostate cancer and prostate enlargement. These are products that help men. So you don't wait until the doctor tells you your prostate has enlarged. Joints.
That's a
Joints.
big one.
Do we wait until we cannot walk? And then you say, but you see, I'm 60 or 70. There is degeneration that needs to be revived. And a number of other products. Definitely some beauty products as well for ladies. But most importantly, let me make this statement. I've noticed that we work so hard, we save money, and then we age into spending our savings on disease.
True.
Yeah.
When it could have been
Avoided.
avoided.
Yeah.
So why we set up this center is that we have these products to help people age well. Age well.
I like that.
Age healthy. You don't have to be telling people how you have diabetes now because you know it runs through the family.
Yes.
You see? So that's one component. But the other biggest component is healthy drinking, healthy eating. So these juices, this is hibiscus juice. Do you want to imagine how healthy it is?
Yeah. It's amazing.
Hibiscus juice.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So we do healthy juicing.
Yes, mine's pineapple mint. I think you've got a mango.
A mango right here.
Yes.
Okay, so these juices, of course, a whole range of healthy juicing that we are doing. Please come in and pick one. Don't just eat fatty things. Eat well, drink well, eat healthy. So that's the purpose of this center. And of course, we also do advice. We do. We have a doctor here who will be coming in to check, to do a whole body check and be able to tell you how your organs are running and how they are functioning so that we don't get surprised with organ malfunction.
Yeah.
True.
So there you have it. This place is located in Kamucha, so opposite Acacia Mall. You know where Total is. It's just the space above Total. So come through and let's start taking better care of ourselves. So, on to our conversation for today. That was not what we were supposed to be talking about, and that's not why Pastor Mark is here. We have been having a series of conversations around family and marriage. One of the conversations we had at the start of this year was on runaway dads.
Okay.
And it sparked such debate. It sparked,
husbands.
yes, and runaway husbands and fathers. And so many people resonated with that episode, saying, wow, I'm so glad we've talked about this, because many men are walking away from their families. So we received a lot of feedback. Maybe I could read for you a couple of the messages we received, which I feel like these responses have prompted us to have this conversation, because while men are walking away from their families for a number of reasons, men are also struggling.
True.
And possibly they are walking away because they are struggling.
True.
And so we received a lot of messages from people saying, but you guys always talk about the men, you're defending the women. I don't know why it came off like that. Maybe because we are both
Because
women.
you're women.
I think
Because we are both women.
Actually,
We felt like it was balanced, but maybe it wasn't. So this, I'll read just 3 messages. Somebody said, very insightful show. I know some friends who got a band of brothers for such conversations and generally to share life. How can a mother or a father who was not fathered teach his son to be responsible? My husband never lived with his father in the same house, but he's an amazing dad. I guess his relationship with God has helped a lot, and willingness to learn. So she highlights men not being fathered as one of the issues. Same thing here, Dennis Mawanda saying it's a tricky conversation, but this usually happens to men who never grow up with fathers. Monkey see, monkey do. Oh yes, this one was an interesting one. It's coming in from Francis. He says, I know many fathers who are deliberately kept out of their children's lives, surprisingly by some people who are counselors. Since you're both counselors, you need to defend the counselors, not you. So I guess there are 2 sides to the story. And today we want to address, to speak up, I guess, in defense of the men, and highlight some of the challenges that they experience in their homes and in their families, which might lead them to walk away, or for some to suffer silently. And that's why we invited Pastor Mark here, since he's in the counseling space and he's a man. Maybe he could shine a light on some of these challenges. So we'll start by asking, what are some of the challenges that men face, or that you've heard about, that you feel like men don't often talk about?
Yeah.
Whether publicly or privately.
Okay. One of the things, of course, we need to clarify right now, we are not here to defend men.
Yes.
Men do not need to be defended.
Yeah.
You need to face the challenge.
Yeah.
And the challenge is, because we've not grown up seeing our fathers,
Sure.
we have learned to run away from challenges.
Yeah.
And hide them. And unfortunately, society has a way of shouting at you and saying, be a man, don't bring your challenge out, show you are in charge. And so very many men are sitting in their marriages, but dysfunctional. And the only activity you hear is a slap and a blow if he comes to a breaking point. Men don't have spaces where to air their issues and look for help.
That's true.
Okay. Ladies have, fellowships. Ladies can easily connect. They can go and cry. You try crying as a man. They'll run away from you and even slap you and say, you are even bringing shame to the gender. You don't cry. Go to a funeral, men don't cry.
That's true.
He loses it, he shouldn't cry. He needs to be tough and hard. But you see, they keep everything inside.
Yeah.
They take in a lot. They take in what the ladies, carry and throw at them. They take in what society throws at them. And where do they throw it? Nowhere. Until finally you hear the man is standing on top of Mabirizi Plaza. He wants to die.
Oh dear.
Have you ever heard of a woman standing on top of Mabirizi Plaza?
Very rarely.
No. It's men. They're the ones who commit suicide because they start to feel the world
Scathing.
has rejected them. So they start to act fake, like things are okay. they don't talk out. And so that's why you also noticed in many of our counseling sessions, majority of the people that come are women.
This is true.
The man, he won't come.
Unless he has been drugged by the wife.
Yeah, and when he comes, I had one where he was drugged, and the woman talked for about an hour, nailing him. Bang, he doesn't do this. Bang, he doesn't do that. Bang, he doesn't do this. Bang, he doesn't. So at the end of it, I looked at him and I said, how do you respond to all these
Allegations.
nailings? He kept quiet.
Yeah.
Second time again he came, the lady hammered him. He has not changed at all. Even the advice you gave him, no, he didn't follow. Kept quiet. I said, do you have anything? She's saying something. You are saying nothing. He didn't. He just gave me a call after the second session. He said, I would like to come and see you.
Alone.
And I said, where? Can you come to the office? He said, no, I'm not going to the office. You come to the restaurant.
Yeah.
So I went to the restaurant. And the guy said, I am going to inform you of what the situation is. And I'm not looking for your advice. I am informing you of my decisions.
Oh, wow.
And so he informed me of his decisions and did not give me an opportunity to advise. And he walked out of the relationship.
Wow.
So that's how men feel. They feel the world is not for them. Even in our churches, most of our pastors are on the women's side.
Yeah.
You know, you men are not, you men are not, you men are not, you men are not. So where are most of our men? They're at the golf. They're playing golf. They're eating pork. They're watching Arsenal beating up some other thing. Because there's no place for them.
That's where they can win.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where they feel, okay, these guys. And in the bar, that's when you find the men talking. They are more really in the bar than they are at church.
Imagine
Or
that.
the counselors. So those are the challenges men face. Number one, they have no place of expression. Society expects a certain image. But number two, like I also mentioned, church does not address men.
Yeah.
You see, you get into a church and everyone is, the Holy Spirit, the ladies are... You expect me also to be there? No. Say, what are you saying?
Going on?
Give me some knowledge. What is the way forward? Why are you? Why are you falling? And so many pastors don't really lay hands on men. Because the man will look at you as you're laying hands and ask you, why are you pushing
me?
Because they are reasoning.
Yes, they're using the logic.
He is a logical person. If it does not make sense, it does not bless him at all. He's a logical being. He's not an emotional being. And unfortunately, society rides on emotionalism.
That's true.
And so men are left wondering now what to do. So they'd rather go somewhere where it is more logical.
Yeah.
Reitachi, business chi, plot chi. No. Okay, fine. You have that deal, you have this deal. Leave those women, go to church and scream the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit falling around. And I've understood that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I have done personally in the ministry is I preach less and I get the congregation into interacting with the topic, asking questions and answering them. And that, I now see more men now wanting to come because it makes sense.
Yes.
So we have those challenges. Men have so many things. In marriages, they are not listened to. They are the ones to take the burden.
Yeah.
And many women, as soon as the man is talking and they are listening, and she gets emotional. You said that word. Okay, let me keep quiet. I won't hurt your feelings. Let me have you have your way. but I have my decision to make.
Yeah.
And when I cannot handle it anymore, I will just decide to walk away because I can't express myself.
Yeah.
So those are the challenges coming in. Now, sometimes we have said men also face, women must face violence.
Yeah.
When a man feels he can't reason with your emotionalism, in his frustration, he can beat you up. Okay? Not because he's violent, but he's trying to shut you down a bit. He speaks 2 words of sense, you have released 10,000 words of emotion. So I think that doesn't make sense, and it does not go in the line in something I wanted to solve. So sometimes a brother of mine once, he lost his wife, and the wife walked out. He said she kept, and then one day he says, I don't know what happened, I just slapped her. And she left because she was slapped. No one had ever slapped her in life, only this man. She left. Now he feels bad, but at the same time, he says, but I was just trying to get forward a point.
Yeah.
So where would I have got it forward? So men face so much of that. Society, expectations.
Yes. Wow. Dr. Evers, you want to comment on that?
No, just pick it on society expectations. I think I've said it before that society places expectations on men, but they haven't invested in nurturing men.
Sure.
Because all these things you're talking about, they are normal for a normal human beings. I don't know, the world has expected that men are going to live by a different relational standard. They're going to live by a totally different life standard. And it is very sad because, we ever talked about it. Life is about training. It's about nurturing. And one of the biggest challenges is men have not been nurtured to relate.
True.
And I'll pick on a number of things. Number one, I think, and again you can correct me, you're my senior here. I've always told people that I'm senior on these conversations, but you're senior to me. I just wanted to take it back to how relationships have evolved. I remember when we were growing up, my mom, maybe up to now, she's still Mothers Union. She was a Mothers Union leader. She's now 91, so she's old. But when I remember, you would get into, you eavesdrop, you somehow you're in this conversation, and you would hear the advice they were giving women was keep quiet. When your husband talks, just keep quiet. When he comes, keep quiet. But this has evolved
over time, yes.
Now women are more conversational, they are more vocal, they do a lot of self-advocacy, the relationships have changed. And I really, again, I love statistics. I'm a student of society and I use statistics a lot. I don't have any to use now, but I think violence against men then was probably less than it is now, because as relationships evolved, as the whole science evolves, now you hear men worry about empowerment and all this. We have had a whole conversation on this, and empowerment is actually about relational skills. Now, our men who have been told now, women were told to keep quiet. Now men have been told to keep quiet. And keeping quiet, I speak as a relational coach. Keeping quiet has its place, but it cannot be the thing all the time. Right? Because in relationships, there's power of conversation. There's power of self-advocacy. I need to communicate my needs in a relationship, and that's why I really believe that's why most men are really struggling. And if you have had, Pastor, Men are crying out. They are saying, you have left us behind. Those that have noticed, I've seen some who have said, why are you talking about emotions? Emotions are not for us, and I'm going to talk about emotions. But you see, the world has left out men on how life is managed.
That's true.
Right? Life management. The world has told men to look for money, to take care of the family. Now that also has been hijacked by the world. And so men have been left out. If you ask me, the number one reason is that men have not been nurtured. They haven't been told how to defend themselves. One of the things we taught our children was to protect themselves. We first had 4 girls, and then Joshua came later on. But you know, these girls, we were worried about, everyone worries about a girl. And we teach them to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And so we do this for marking your private space. In my work as a life coach and relational coach, men have not been told to mark their private space. Their space is invaded. Actually, they are lucky that they are happy that women invade their space. But what happens now in mapping that private space? There's a lot of protection. That's a relational skill. Setting boundaries. Now, setting boundaries, one of the reasons men are abused is they don't know how to set boundaries in communication. They are not able to say, I'm okay for you to point out your concerns, but I'm not okay that you get abusive. You know, men experience a lot of emotional, psychological abuse, and they don't know how to protect themselves. So what do? They run away. They run away to bars. They pretend to support Man U and I don't know which other Arsenal, and they know every player
except how to defend
themselves. So men don't know. They don't have simple self-defense skills. They have no idea. Men don't know how to communicate.
Could it be, you know, let me look at it at a bit a different angle. Men still have their spaces, but I think the aggressors do not recognize those boundaries.
Spaces.
Right now you have women's movements, gender things, and say, oh, we need also to express ourselves, you know, and now we have jumped our cultural coachings and upbringings where you know that this is the head, this way you go, this is how you bring it out, this is how you respect, this is how you do this. And a woman will not keep quiet. She'll say, no, I also have, I also, hey, and the man says, no. You know, a man can bring up an issue and the lady will go up. And you say, you know, at that time for you to avert a conflict, one of you has to just calm it down and not say, I have to. Now, women have been empowered, and that is good. But they have not been shown that your empowerment does not give you permission to overstep a boundary.
This is true.
To get aggressive.
And so men have been beaten down a lot for being aggressive. And they don't want to show aggression in that situation because in our minds, aggression is seen as lack of love. Okay? And that is why we are now even saying, you don't beat a child. But the very Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. You see, the real reason why there is someone in authority is to give you boundaries. And if you go beyond the boundaries, there are consequences. Now, what consequence would there be for a woman who oversteps a man's boundaries?
That's the thing.
And how does he deal with it without him being labeled violent?
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Okay. So what a man does, if he doesn't want to be labeled violent, he will say to himself, before I explode, let me go and put in a tusker and take my stress somewhere. And then she takes up the home and says, you see, he's even a coward. He hasn't been able to talk to me. He's talking to people in the bar. You come home and we talk. talk. And so men now start to feel in their homes, there are no boundaries. In the society, they are being pushed down. And everything. And those are the only places that will gather them.
Yeah.
Golf courses, bars,
church,
Arsenal. Church, no. You
Church
have
is
already
for
talked to the pastor, you women, and you
You
have
reported
taken
me
the
to the
pastor on
pastor.
your side.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come.
Yeah.
You are, that's
you're
your
not for
territory.
me.
So if I come, I'll sit at the back. So when things get hot,
I can run.
the door is
The
open.
door is open.
So now the thing is, and I know we keep saying you have to speak out.
Yeah.
You have to what? But it
Communicate.
is how you speak out.
100%, Pastor.
Women do not even have any reservation of speaking out, and sometimes they speak out disrespectfully.
100%.
I will say it as it is, and you need to take it from me as it is. And you know, when it comes loaded with emotions, it hurts
It does.
Hurts.
It does.
and comes through disrespectfully.
No, 100%. You see, Pastor, what I was mentioning, and I really have a very big soft spot for men.
Yeah.
I'm on record. I've said men are abused. Actually, I was looking at statistics. Research is showing us that recent research, Uganda Demographic and Health Survey, 2016.
Wow.
44% of the men, married men, said they are experiencing violence.
That is crazy.
44%.
Yeah.
This is an increase from, this was 44%. Now, 22, UDHS, Uganda Demographic and Health Survey, 2022, the rate has gone up.
That's gone up.
It has gone up.
What forms of violence?
So the
does that
biggest
take?
form of violence is emotional violence,
Yeah.
emotional abuse. And when we talk about emotional abuse, it's about undermining a person's sense of self-worth. So the statements you make about be a man, what's wrong with you? Now you are a coward and all that. And of course, belittling his character,
Yes.
Comparing
pushing him down,
Yes.
aggressive behavior.
Yes.
I mean, those demeaning words,
Yes.
controlling behavior, and all that. Now, because the world has run with a woman abuse women and children, women and girl
Yes.
child,
Everywhere.
and so no one looks at this. Now, all those statistics, if you check, I've been talking to different partners that are addressing intimate partner violence, and I ask them, where are the men? Where is the voice for men? Because number one, men, no one advocates for them.
Yeah.
Number two, you mentioned it, even when they are abused, they have nowhere to go. People will be shocked. Even police probably will laugh at them, which is so sad,
Yeah.
which is very, very sad. They can't even tell their friends. So they are beaten at home, they go to a bar, and when they are talking, someone asks, how is your family? Oh, terrific, all good. But they haven't spoken with their wife in 2 months. They probably have gotten a slap. And of course, there is physical abuse. We are talking about emotional abuse, but there's also physical abuse.
It's also happening, yes.
Physical abuse, I've had some. I've experienced some in my counseling.
A slap, a beating.
A beating. Some are sworn, they've been scratched. They
have tooth bites.
They have tooth bites.
Yeah.
But they have nowhere to go because everyone is running with women and children.
True.
So, what you're talking about is, yes, because life is relational. Life is relational. I'll go back to that and I'll tell you, as a marriage counselor, of course, not every conversation is escalated, because, and I'm not defending women, but when there is a conversation and you're talking to someone who has been told to keep quiet, you see?
Yeah.
And they don't know how to communicate without getting aggressive, or they've been told, and I've had men honestly confess and say, we just keep quiet for peace's sake. And I ask them, are you sure there is peace? Because they've been told to protect peace, which is already not there.
True.
You see? So they don't know how to do simple things. Life is so simple. Simple things like active listening. Like active listening. When I'm talking to you and you listen actively, both of us are in marriage counseling. If I'm talking to my partner, you're there, and I raise an issue, and they are curious about what I'm saying. They listen and they say, oh, just to understand. Now, you've heard me say some people listen to defend themselves and not to understand.
True.
And when someone has no skill, that relationship skill of active listening, what happens? Now, the person talking to them is going to yell. Now, the psychology of it is that when you're here, I'm talking to you, and you're not paying attention, I'm going to sense that your spirit is very far. So that's how people yell. You're here, but I'm yelling because I'm calling. I'm calling forth your spirit because it is very far. So that's the whole psychology of escalation of communication. So someone starts yelling. Of course, this doesn't mean that there are women who really overstep their shoes, and I've spoken to them. That's not communication. Because if you yell, someone misses the message. They hear noise.
True.
And of course, it speaks to lack of an important skill called self-regulation, right? Or emotional regulation. So a person who communicates without emotional regulation is not to be defended. And I know women, because they say, we also take pride in our emotions, but that shouldn't be. Emotions are good. But they are not to be used as a ticket to abuse people. So, but the point I was making is that when someone lacks basic relationship skills, and I'm hoping by saying this, really men out there and the women that love them, and us who are raising boys, let's teach them a basic skill of relationship. You know, relationship skill. Be able to speak up. Speaking up is important. You know, I've seen men who say, I'm not going to take that. I need respect. Do that, that's not too much. But most of them have been told, just keep quiet, women yell and all that, and they have that kind of attitude. And when a woman just begins to bring up an issue already, they have that preconceived standpoint, and then they say, me, I'm going to keep quiet, I have to run, I have to do this. So I really feel we need to empower men. And when we say empowering men, I know sometimes it sounds belittling because men say they are empowered. Already, but these are simple things. Simple things. Communicate your needs. The skill of emotional expression. If you're angry, tell your partner that you're angry about this. That doesn't need a degree in a university. You just need to learn to speak up. That's also part of boundary opening.
True.
Can I ask Dr. Eva? Because I feel like we are addressing a cycle. Because the men that Pastor Mark is talking about are already full-grown adults. And because they have been conditioned a certain way, they are walking and behaving in that conditioning. And I feel like what you're addressing would apply to those of us who are raising sons, to the men maybe who are still open to hearing how they can improve their relationships. So I guess, how do we address this cycle? Is there a hope for these men who are already full-grown adults? They've been conditioned to think, behave like a man, be a man, like don't embarrass the gender, or in the home, keep the peace. If she's yelling, just walk away, and this is advice that men are receiving, and then to the women don't know the boundaries. Like, how do we address this cycle that is already in existence? Yes, there's the raising the boys, teaching them the basic skills that you're referring to, but then there's the adults, the ones that are actually experiencing this emotional violence, How do we, I guess, to speak to both of them, what do we tell the men? What do we tell the women? How do we
We tell the
create
boys.
spaces? What do we tell the boys? You know?
Well, to me, basically, is the men in our kind of caliber have
Yeah.
been formed over a long period of time.
Yeah, yeah,
And there is very little space for change. We will not, unless the vessel itself realizes I need
I need to
help and
change.
humbles themselves.
yeah.
But otherwise, men of our stature will not back down from what they
Already
have
know.
been formed
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
My biggest challenge right now is we have single mothers trying to raise boys. And there is a reason why in a family there is a man
And a
there is a
woman.
woman.
Yeah.
But most of the issues we have right now is we have women who are ungovernable. You can't lead them. They give you an ultimatum even on the wedding day. Anytime you shout at me,
I'm out
I'm
the door.
out of the door. Anytime you raise a voice, I'm out of the door. Do you hear that? And if I hear any news you cheated or even winked at another female, I am out. So the man already is in a place of desperation. He
Yeah.
is seemingly, and that's why I've even seen them come to church. And when you see a man walking carefully in front, you know that the wife is behind watching. When you see him coming in carefree, he has left the wife at home.
Is that true?
Yes, the wife is a watchdog. Okay, and they have made themselves watchdogs. I catch you in this. You can't go to church without me. You can't do this without me. Where are you going? How are you doing?
The
Because they've
controlling
told
we
them,
were talking
you
about.
must know where he is. You shouldn't cheat and so on.
Yeah.
And as soon as they become ungovernable, they walk away. They get into their groups of women. Now I need a break. There's even a song that someone has, everybody needs a little time away, far away from
What's
each other.
that?
Even lovers need a holiday,
Oh, do
far
they?
away from each other. And you see, that's what's the world is promoting.
That's distortions.
You are in a marriage and the person says, I need a break from you. I want to go with my girls. And the people they call their girls
Oh,
are
Lord.
wild women who have lost their marriages, who don't want any responsibility. They go.
Yeah.
By the time she comes back,
She's a different
She's as
person.
wild as-
She's as wild.
she's a wild donkey. So men are living in those kinds of things. For me, one thing I do believe, the focus must go back to the root.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We have to raise children within an atmosphere that is ideal
Yeah.
and godly.
Yeah.
The husband is there, the wife is there. And you don't try to live perfect before your children. I had a counselor saying, you don't have to have any disagreements before the children. And I said to myself, so how will the children know how to handle disagreements?
Yeah.
Will you take them to the bedroom? The bedroom is not to handle conflict. It's for making love.
Tell them.
So you go there and then the first thing is,
Let
these
us
days-
first address this
as
conflict.
soon as you hear the wife saying, we need to talk. you
Oh,
say,
Lord.
Oh, Lord. Then after that, how can you start love?
Because you need to sort out issues.
It becomes, these days, you see a man, watch people, get into public places and you see a man, when there's a phone call, and he first looks at it like this,
Should I
then he
answer?
does like this. Chichi, that's his wife.
Oh, Lord.
But that's also bad manners.
When he does like this and he says, hi, how are you?
That's his friend.
He's cheating on that.
Oh, Lord.
But Pastor, for me, let me say this to both of you. For me, I come from a place of hope.
Yeah.
First of all, maybe because I'm a life coach, and I believe life is about self-improvement.
That's
True.
true.
There is hope. There is
Yeah.
hope. Even to that man that has been part of the culture that has nurtured them. The issue is men are struggling, and we cannot condemn them to this struggle and say, okay, look, guy, you're now 60, keep like that. You made an important point about men and depression. I was looking at statistics. Men are depressed more.
Yeah.
Because emotions are not for bottling.
True.
Emotions, God put emotions in us to be expressed.
True.
Even good emotions are supposed to be expressed. That's why I tell men, if you love your wife, tell them that you love them. This is an outlet for emotions.
Yeah.
You know, use your mouth
To tell them.
to tell them. If your heart, use your mouth. This is powerful.
What if I come from a culture where we never use our mouths?
That's the thing. But you see, Pastor, life is about learning and unlearning
True.
and relearning. Because we don't live off default setting.
Yeah.
We don't live off under, we're going to have a conversation about culture, whether culture is actually building marriages or destroying
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Now, there is a part of culture, and we have to evaluate culture. I've told people, let's evaluate culture, because culture is good. But if culture is working against your personal wellness and the wellness of your family, then you need to evaluate it.
Yeah.
Now, if, for instance, you have been told, and it's not only men, even women, there are women from certain culture backgrounds that have been told, don't say. And we have been told, be humble. So
Really
we have
humility.
confused silence for humility.
Humility, yes.
Now, that is dangerous.
True.
That's dangerous. So even men who have been conditioned a certain way, but you realize it is not working. And we are open to all this. Look, we keep changing. Life is changing. I've always used an example of phones. Who is still using, what was it, Nokia? Was it Nokia 23 or 123? I don't know what it was. No one still has it. We are going for new series. Why? Because we consider that this has more higher performance.
Yeah.
So life is about taking in more information, embracing certain things that will work. Unfortunately, we are against them. So we block them out and say, you know, me, culture has the, you know, this culture. And then we say, oh, me, I come from here. But you see, life is about learning and unlearning. When I got married 29 years ago, there are certain things I didn't know. You see, I didn't know. And you talked about listening and women talking and endless. I'm a very emotional person. I'm very expressive. But then with my husband, who is quieter, more organized in his conversations, you see, I learned to listen.
Yes.
I learned to pause, and when he's talking, I listen.
Wow.
What is that? That's body conditioning.
True.
You see? And so we pick on these simple skills, which are important. Men can talk, men can listen. Men have been told that what you are talking about is what we call negative coping mechanisms. Go drink, keep quiet, run away. But for how long are you going to run?
run
The family
away,
is
yeah.
growing. You need to be with children. What are you teaching children? You see, what are you telling them? So we cannot have a life where men are just running by way of coping. That doesn't help. They are hurting.
Yeah.
They are hurting. They need to be with their families. They need to be in respectful relationships. But you know, part of the respect has to be earned. And that earning has been abused. Let me clarify. That earning is that I have to talk and earn respect. Someone has to hear me out. You see, even women, I tell them, don't yell. calm down, control your emotions, and communicate respectfully. Because when you communicate respectfully, the recipient is going to listen to you. No one listens to a yelling person, right?
one wants to be
So I really have hope for men, irrespective of age.
Of age.
Because
Unconditioned,
why are we training people on leadership, on all this, and in workplaces? They can learn these things.
You see, the dilemma we have right now is we said we have lots of development, lots of knowledge, which is great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the problems that we've tried to solve by these things are just also multiplying.
They are.
There are more diseases right now with more advancement of technology. There are more family breakages, even with more counselors coming up and all these things coming. And to me, the issue is this. The issue is not about trying to catch up with whatever is there,
Yeah.
because we will
We'll
never.
never catch up, yeah.
I've accepted the fact that my teenagers are ahead of me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sit down, I listen to them, I have goodwill for them, but I can't compete with them.
Yeah.
A teenager will come and get your phone and put their Snapchat and whatever and put on passwords. You don't know. For you think they are surfing, they are doing research, they are on Snapchat, on your very phone.
Yeah.
And then they will give it to you and you will not know what they've done.
Exactly.
Okay, so they are ahead. Now, the challenge with this generation is you get married or you start relating to people according to the pace of social media.
Yeah.
Women are talking, men are talking, talking, and you do not study the specimen who you are living with.
100%.
That's
yes.
Okay? You come, you just say, they are whatever, 5 love languages, flowers, formation, bichi bichi, bichi bichi. Then you try to use all those things on
your
this specimen. And your specimen is saying,
My
I
friend.
don't even understand what you're
What
trying to
are
do."
flowers?
And so you go back and complain, I have tried all the love
Everything,
languages,
they are not
nothing is
working."
happening. Study the
person,
specimen
yes.
you are with.
Yes.
They will not go according to the pace of the world.
Yes.
That's true.
You are heading at 120 kilometers per hour. The other fella is at 50. And he's saying, Ontwala supidi. I don't understand where all this is going. And so finally, when you see a car is over speeding, Ogamba Masa, and you jump out and you wait for a slower one.
Yes.
But Pastor, can I just pick on that?
We need to bring this to a close.
No,
so
there's
it's
something I really want to bring up.
And
Yes.
I mean, what he's saying, do you also, since you are in the space of family counseling,
Yes.
do you also think that men have been handed a wrong message in terms of growth in relationships? I think I see that all the time because for men, and I know the psychology of it, where after they've gotten married, they are done with that project.
Yes, the hunting is done.
The hunting is done, they've gotten files closed, project closed, then
Move on
another
to the
project.
next thing, yeah.
I think men haven't been also helped to know that a relationship grows.
True.
And every time I'm coaching couples on the 4 stages of a relationship, you're going to have a conflict stage. But does conflict stage mean the relationship is going to end? No.
Yeah.
So it's this conflict is important in relationships. It helps us to draw boundaries, it helps us to communicate needs, it helps us to understand each other's emotions, a number of benefits. But what happens, I've heard, for instance, men been told that if there is no peace in your home, run. And I feel, No, that shouldn't be the message, because anywhere there are more than two people, there is conflict. Even there is intra-conflict.
Yeah.
Now, for us to tell men that their homes have to be peaceful, no conflict, anytime there is conflict, to run until there is peace. When you come home, everyone should receive, even when you have unresolved issues. I really feel that's not real. And this explains part of the conflicts and the violence we are talking about. Because that world doesn't exist. You see?
Real.
So all the skills we are talking about, how about simple conflict management skills? How do you make sure that, what kind of conflict de-escalation skills that men have that are going to help? Because we are talking leaders, Pastor. Now, a leader in his home who cannot deal with conflicts and bring peace, but they are expected to be handed peace, I don't understand it. And you've mentioned, and I think I've heard it in most church circles, you know, this man, their home is the what do you say? That it's a hub or a peace or a castle, what's doing what. Now that's okay, it should. But you see, this is built.
True.
You cannot just have what you haven't built. And so we cannot give a message to men that their home is a peaceful hub and all, but they are not part of the peace building. You see? So I really feel we have really set men up for abuse. It is so bad, I hate it, and I really want to, and I think I'll give a message to women at that point. But I really feel, I feel for men, and I really want to emphasize this: a disempowered person, relationally can never be empowered. You see, you cannot say you are empowered. Now you are defining empowerment from totally. Money cannot empower someone
In a relationship.
That's why men are stranded. They have money, they can't have peace. They can't solve the smallest thing. They can't listen, they can't communicate, they can't solve a conflict. There's no problem solving skills. And I'm not generalizing, my brothers. I know that there are some who have. But look, we are talking about a leader in his home. How can we have a leader in his home who cannot communicate, who cannot solve a problem, whose only skill is to run away? That can't be. And then the world keeps magnifying this and saying, oh, you know, men, we have to empower men.
You see, part of the reason it's not that these men are not willing to. Because no man wants conflict in his home.
Absolutely.
No man wants to have an unhappy wife or kids running away from him and so on. Let me say this, which I never brought out in the beginning. There are some women who turn the children against their
that's
fathers.
a big one.
That
that's
happens.
real.
And because she has issues emotionally with him, so she turns the children against him.
Which is part of emotional abuse.
Okay, and then he feels when he comes home, it is
ganging
a war
up
zone all the time.
Yes.
You know, the children are avoiding him, they are running to the mother and so on. And I understand the nurturing thing is much on the mother's side. But if the woman is not in for her husband, she will finally chase him out of the home. But the other thing I also realize with this is that some women have made it so hard for the man to be the head.
I agree with you. That absolutely.
And these are the things they say. I'm paying most of the bills. Now, you see, from when the situation changed from stay-home moms, and now they are going out to work, the world now seems to favor women in the corporate spaces. And women are doing a very good job there. You see, I can't put a man at the front desk. You know, he's too, you know. But the women say, hello. And even men will come. You see now, they've entered even our barber shops.
Yes.
You know, if your husband gets into some of those evil barber shops,
and
massages.
she gives her a touch of the anointing. The man will never leave. He'll never say, I want that place. And then he will say, I want the other one to work on me. Okay. Now they've invented those spaces. And so, you see, women seem to be taking over even financially.
Yeah.
And men are struggling. And men have to be now pushed into a place where they become entrepreneurs. And they have to employ so that they survive. Because the corporate circle is not very friendly to them right now. Now, a woman coming home and feeling the empowerment comes from money. Okay? Now I'm the one who is bringing in much of the thing. So, what are you saying? What respect can I give you?
Which is a distortion.
The man says, okay, fine. That's why sometimes you hear men saying, I don't want you to work.
Hey, that's where it comes from, yeah.
Because the money is what is empowering you against me. So they struggle in that area. Now, the ladies, I don't even know what empowerment they are getting, because some of this empowerment is just to take over, and they are subtly being shown that their enemy is the man.
Yes.
And yet that's not the issue. So she comes with this thing. I've been stepped on for long. You men have been stepping on us because you have had the money. Now I have the money. Now what are you doing? I'm also paying. So what kind of man are you? I'm going out with my girlfriend. No, you stay. It's my money. I said,
What are you saying?
And it's my house. Now, yesterday I was talking to a group of women, and I said, if you come from a family that is wealthy, your father has given you a piece of land, on it there is a house, you get married, can you tell your husband, let's move into our house and avoid rent? Say,
I can't.
they can't.
You see?
Wow.
But you see, Pastor, if you allow me, now you
then
have
we shall
described,
close.
we shall close.
Yes.
You have described a category of women who are really, really aggressive against men and all that, and they use that whole disrespectful language. They are very aggressive. They are belittling their husbands for whatever reason, as you have mentioned. But I'm thinking about these women who mean well, and they're there. Not all of them are misbehaving. I know women, so many women who are in positions of leadership who have to, we are educating our girls, and so they have to be in these positions, they have to serve, but they also have to have successful relationships. And they mean so well. And they have a husband who they are ready to respect. You see? So I would want to hear you talk about men who, because we cannot sit here and assume that all the aggression against men, all the emotion, and I honestly have a heart for men, but we can also not assume that every challenge they are getting, every abuse they are getting is purely a result of their wife's behavior, because some of it honestly is self-inflicted. You see, some of it is self-inflicted. Some of the behaviors that men have had. I just recently, there was an article running on WhatsApp, God bless WhatsApp, of a pastor who was advising, a pastor and counselor who was advising men and saying, men, any man who goes home early has a mental illness. You see? And these things are happening, Pastor. The kind of advice that is given to men is not empowering them for good relationships. And so the things like, when your wife says this, run, you haven't even taken time to understand. So there's this woman or women who are really in relationships, they mean well, they want to be, but men are also misbehaving. So let's face it.
Can I, and as you respond, I want to ask my final question so that you can both respond. I hear what you're saying. You're really bringing out the reality. Both of you are. You are for hope, and I think you are as well, because you mentioned that there's very little change that is going to happen, maybe at a macro level. That change is going to start with individuals. for a man to say, look, I know that this is how I was raised, this is what I've grown up knowing, but I need help, you know, and with each one man changing, maybe they change their son, that son changes their generation, or this man will change his peers or advise his peers. And I feel like that's where our line of hope is. So I want you to respond to what Dr. Evers has said, but also in conclusion, speak to the issue of fatherhood, because that's something that was raised in the previous episode. I know that you can't give what you don't have. We are talking about a generation of men who are struggling with themselves. So what are they passing on to their sons? As we conclude this conversation.
In fact, let me bring it this way, that many of us, in one way or the other, love to run to what is familiar and not grow.
That's true.
Okay, we give excuses. You know, I was raised like this, even I didn't have a father. Even the fatherhood thing is an excuse.
It's an excuse.
It is.
Okay.
Well, there
You are using the things you lacked to justify the flaws you have.
You have.
100%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I myself, some of us grew up with fathers, but some of our fathers were not engaged with
They're
us.
quiet
So
fathers.
yeah.
Okay, they're not engaged. And there is no school for fathering.
Yeah.
No school for mothering. And
That's true.
we're talking about fathers, but even mothers are doing a lousy job.
It's true.
Everyone just does their
They're
thing.
gambling.
You see, if most of the flaws we see now in men are a result of poor input by single mothers who were bitter.
Yes, that. Yeah.
Okay? So these men are very emotional. Now I'm dealing with a young man who cannot take even any constructive criticism. He sees it as an attack. And I see that sometimes that is an element of women. As soon as you bring in something, no, this was not right. Oh, no, you're attacking me. You've hurt my feelings.
Yes.
I tell you, for me, I've been in a corporate circle. You don't bring your feelings and emotions into the space.
Yep.
You either align or you are out.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to teach him that. It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Now, so you see, now saying to ourselves, because, and I know it is true, because you've not been raised with a father, you have not seen an example, you have not been mentored, you have not been all these things. Of course, you're going to have flaws.
Yeah.
But that's not where it stops.
Yeah.
Find an example of a father
father.
and learn.
That's true.
You know, don't give us the excuse.
Yeah.
And no one is going to look for you. It is not the doctor that looks for patients. It's the patients that look for the doctor.
That's true.
Now that you know your issue,
Yeah.
find the solution.
Yeah.
That is what basically it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a father, but he was a disciplinarian. I mean, he was not violent. But I think when I describe some of it, some of you will understand what I'm saying. He worked, he looked after the family, that was great.
Yeah.
When he came home, he was stressed, he wanted to rest.
Yeah.
So he comes and is quiet.
Yeah.
And he comes and sits where you are. And you
you
feel
are
uncomfortable.
afraid. Yes.
And you just feel a moving anointing. You just go away.
To leave the living room.
And then you go looking for your mother, at least who is chatting and what. Mommy can shout at you, slap you, but at least that's better
Some
than someone who
conversation.
just is there, you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So then he realizes, hey, the children have left me alone here, they are with mommy. So he goes to the kitchen to try and interact with mommy. Then all of you run away from the kitchen and now you wonder where to go.
That's true.
Okay, so now that can even be worse than one who was never there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now some people have said to themselves, my father used to do this, he used to shout, he was strict and so on. When I grow up, I'm not going to be that. And either they go to the side of permissiveness,
Yes.
which is wrong, or to the side of frustration and they find themselves even worse than their fathers.
Exactly, and that's
Yeah.
what's happened.
And then in church we call it, but it is an ancestral spirit that keeps going through. No, it is
Generational
patterns
Yes.
of
of behavior
Yes, it's
Yeah.
that are
negative
just
behavior
ingrained
Yeah.
in
that
us.
you have not intentionally broken.
Broken.
That's
So
true.
you must break it. It's not a curse, it's not something, it's just looking at your life and saying to yourself, these are the things that spoiled our relationship. I will intentionally find solutions for these things.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it is not going to be an easy
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So when you look at it that way, it means even when you get into a relationship, you need to have in your head that your partner could have had also patterns in their
Yes.
background
Yes.
that formed them. So when you are conflicting or you are conflicted,
Yeah.
those are two different things. Don't see the person as the problem. Look at the behavior. Where did it come from? Stick to the solution. Don't say, my husband is this. No. Say, this is the issue we have. And try to find out, why does he think that way?
Yeah.
Why do I respond this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you are now not going to be, bitter and angry and resentful at each other. The issues should be separated from the
The
person.
person. Yeah.
Now,
that's
that
true.
is also an area of growth.
Absolutely.
Big growth.
Absolutely.
So, to me, my feeling is, for the young people, the sons and daughters, if you're a single mother listening right now, don't think you're going to be able to raise those boys alone.
No.
You cannot be the father to them.
Yeah.
Maybe you have brothers, maybe you have friends of the family or families where you can send them to, and they see a certain
Dynamic. Yeah.
dynamic or example
Yeah.
that gives them an idea, and have these conversations with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And please do not, in your bitterness, make them try to hate their father who may have left. Because one day when they meet the father and he gives their side of the story, you'll be the villain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the issues.
Yeah.
So the issue is focus on giving them models.
Yeah.
Now, you men who are grown, and you're saying for us, we grow up like this. No. Life is dynamic.
Yeah.
As soon as you see a problem, start to learn from it.
Yeah.
Say, well, how can I make this better? Because your sons and children are conflicting with you. You are shouting at them. They are shouting at you. Your wife is not listening to you. Ask yourself, why? How do I solve this problem?
Yeah.
Not how do I beat this wife and she keeps quiet. Because even when she keeps quiet, the problem is not solved.
It's only for a while.
And if someone keeps quiet, let me tell you something. You better have someone who is speaking
Then someone
and you
who's
are shouting.
quiet. Yes.
than someone who is quiet and planning your death.
Plotting your demise.
So
Oh Lord.
let me stop.
So Travis, how would you want to conclude this
No,
conversation?
I just want to, number one, to say, to acknowledge that men are suffering.
Yeah.
They are suffering, and this suffering can be
Avoided.
avoided or can be managed.
Yeah.
Because life is not easy. But I encourage men not to suffer in silence. So this is probably I'll just build on the advice that Pastor Mukisa
Yeah, you remember.
Thank you. Yeah.
has given. Number one, invest in self-awareness.
True.
I've noticed in my line of work that men tend to describe their wives more than describe themselves. And they haven't invested, they fear going back to themselves and saying, who am I? Why do I behave the way I behave? I've had my brothers justify behavior, validate what they do, rather than dealing with some of the things you have talked about, the dysfunctionality, the traumas, unresolved traumas. That why, asking yourself a question: why do I behave the way I behave? Right. So that is important in relationships, and it is called self-awareness. The second one is to invest in what you talked about, knowing your partner. I've had men say, all women, and I've challenged them, you're not married to all women, you're married to one. Do you know your partner?
Yeah.
Do you know what makes them happy? Do you know what their stress triggers are? Do you know? Because ultimately, men are leaders. I can't overemphasize that. Can you imagine to have leaders who are encouraged to run away from their country? And I've given this example.
Yes.
We have a president here. Imagine we wake up and we get news that our president has disappeared because the country is too much on him, or there are better services in Rwanda, or please don't tell anyone, I'm not saying anything, you know, but we don't have that leader. The leader scans the environment, understands where things are coming from. He's able to, I mean, you've seen certain things on roundabouts. He's giving a message, you guys, anyone try here, you're dead. You know, some of those things. So I look at men, and I really, really, really respect men. And we cannot have a society where men are running. Because when you invest in understanding your environment, mapping your work, knowing, because you're not married to perfect women. No, none of us is perfect. But you probably want to invest in understanding what happens, what is causing pain in your family, how can this be solved? There's no problem that can't be solved. So intentionally investing in understanding your partner and the issues in your family. Number 3, challenging some of the notions that you have believed. Because to be honest with you, men, you have been offered a fake. Some of the advice you're getting is not building you. Because, for instance, someone saying, don't go home early. Right? Which man goes home early? I was seated in a health club, quiet in a sauna with young men, and they were talking and they were saying, imagine a woman expecting me to go home. I've told my wife, am I coming to peel matoke? So each one of them was talking and said, no, that's not for men. For us, we have to be here. And then you go. If there is a conflict, then you wait, you sneak in and sleep and get up. That is not sustainable. And that's the kind of advice men have gotten. That won't work. And I when I listened in, I kept quiet, then I turned and asked them, but do you know what is happening? That's why we have absentee dads who are trying to have peace outside, and they have no idea what is happening in their families. How can you be a leader who is not in your family? You see? And so some of that advice, keep quiet, for you, just preserve peace. You can't preserve something that has already been taken. Now, men, invest in problem solving, because peace, our peace is rooted in our ability to solve problems. Life is problematic. You see, how can we have leaders in organizations who are solving problems, but in your home you cannot deal with anything? You see, so and I'm coming from this place of, yes, you're exposed to violence and all, but much of it you can avert. You know, you can solve it. So men need to invest in relationship building skills. Learn to be a listener. Life is so simple. You don't know how much power is in listening. Listening, talking to me and I listen to you, it communicates respect, it gives you understanding, you're able, I mean, so many things. Simple things. Active listening. Listen. So what advice have you been given? So I really feel men need to be supported. And I also want to speak to organizations and communities that are supporting families. Please invest in telling men truth. You know, check your behavior. You know, check the behaviors of men. Because I was looking at statistics. You know, much of the conflict in families is because of adultery. Adultery is done by both men and women, but more men. Now, we have had conversations and you hear advice that men are getting. For you, you can have so many, but women should not have another. You know, men, any man, every man should. Now, how is that causing chaos in families? much of the conflict is actually from those kinds of extramarital relationships. But how is the community around men supporting them to know that such behaviors are detrimental to their peace, to the peace of their families, to their health, to everything? What is being given to men? So I really feel that the world has been very unfair to men by not telling them truth, but also not equipping them with rightful skills to help them manage skills and manage their homes as leaders.
And you've mentioned it very well. Before I give it back to Rachel, I also do feel in one way or the other that men need to know the source of their truth, of their realities. And unfortunately, they don't know where to run to. They've run to church, and you've heard what you said, what that pastor was saying to them, and they realize that some of that advice is in fact making things worse at home. And so they run away from there, and we tell them to build relationships, and some of the relationships men have built have in fact brought them to their knees. So where would they get right, honest information to build? That's a big one there. Apart from social media. Social media has so many things, and they are popular things. Unfortunately, even women are being told the same thing.
That's true.
You cannot be there with one man. Now, the whole thing has been sexualized. Before we had self-control. Now it is say what you want, get what you want. If a man cannot take you to an orgasm, why are you there? Why are you suffering?
Find it somewhere else.
And then now prostate is coming. You're giving prostate and so on. But even stress itself can cause lack of performance. But you see, now we've looked at even that area as a high performance area. So Viagra and all the energy drinks are coming in. And as soon as a woman steps out and, she gets into with these younger boys, these 21-year-olds who are still energetic. For you are 45, you're saying, my back is hurting. This cowboy just rocks the fella once. He says, I'm not going to die with this old one. So you now find older women also going for these young. So the cheating now is kind of equal, because a man cheats with a woman. He doesn't cheat many times with a fellow man.
That's true.
So all of them are kind of cheating because they enter into life thinking themselves. You get into a place and people just say, what would you like in a partner? Those are the things I see now on social media. Oh, he needs to have money. He needs to, and these are things even mentioned in church. If he doesn't have a house, a steady job, he doesn't have this, don't waste. Now you are there with a husband who has loved you. The guy is trying, but then this fella outside that day in the workplace is just like, baby, what are you on? So you see that temptation, and some people say you are stupid to let that go when you are struggling. So we need to find out, where do you get mentors that have the right values? Which sources of information do you go to get the right information that is going to build what you desire? And even though we are talking these things, people are saying, but where are they?
No, so actually I think that's a good question. I could end there, Rachel. Number one, to encourage men to seek professional help, because you also know what negative perceptions men have on therapy, on family therapy. So therapy, professional therapy, because men think they don't need help, but we all need help. You know, a good leader knows that they need help, they need advice, they need credible advice. Number two, to be open to learning, because what you are mentioning earlier, a man is in church, they are teaching, and they are already judging. Are they judging me? What are they saying? That doesn't apply to me. We all learn. We all learn. Taking advantage of opportunities like marriage conferences.
Yeah.
People
With an open mind.
with an open mind.
If the values
Yeah.
promoted come from
An authentic
tested
source.
universal
There's also that.
principles.
100%.
Because that is the thing. Because I have heard the world is now advancing. These days they don't ask what is your male or female. They say male, female, other.
That's true.
Now
and we
that
have
is
no control
entered also
over that.
into the
into other
professional circle.
100%.
So you need to find out this source. It's professional, yes, but what values is
That's
it anchoring?
true. That's true. That's why we need more the gift of discernment.
Yeah.
True.
And so honestly, what you're saying, there's so much Eve around. There's so much unauthentic
Noise.
information. There's so many buffets. There's so much. But there's still authentic sources.
True.
Authentic sources. And I really want to encourage men, take advantage of some. We are starting a family night.
Yes.
Conversations
Yeah.
where people are able to share and learn. Life is about learning. It's about unlearning.
Yes.
It's about relearning. You can't be there moving with what was planted in you how many
20
years
years
ago.
True.
No, you should take advantage of some of these opportunities to learn from others, to hear what, because sometimes men think they are going through an issue they only alone, and that can be very tempting to believe. But there are so many people who are learning. So this is a journey of learning. Relationships is a platform for learning. Embrace that.
Embrace it. Embrace it. Thank you both. I think this has been a very enlightening conversation. And I think if I were a man who genuinely wants to change the narrative of how I've been living, the information and advice that I get from my peers or from social media, I think I'll take advantage of some of the things that have been shared here. You can create your own heaven if you take advantage of, the right sources of truth and, just changing the environment and saying, no, I'm tired of the status quo. I want to have a better and healthier relationship. And these are the things that I'm going to do to move towards that goal. So thank you both for being here.
Welcome.
Remember, we are at Suma Coffee and Wellness Center, your one-stop place for all your needs in wellness to be met. So please do take advantage of that. It's in Kamocha, just opposite Acacia Mall, right at Total Energies. That's it from us. Of course, we would want to hear from you. Let us know in the comment section what has stood out for you, maybe something that you have learned, an addition to what has been shared. We really appreciate your feedback. We'll be back again next week with another conversation right here on Reality Check. Don't forget to subscribe and give this episode a thumbs up.